View the assignment in the syllabus first, so I should give you a minute to get set up the rest of the way. I had to review the MVC this morning on the train. I read my own blogs again, just to make sure I don't screw up today. I may still screw up, but at least I reviewed it. Yeah. Yeah, it'll be open lab on Thursday, and then so what? We've only got like 2 classes left, right? But it isn't all finals. Finals start on Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday are finals. So we do have one more class after this, and I will be here this Friday to help people. And as I said for the project, whatever you can slap together, and I'm going to give you some suggestions. Like this MVC is fairly easy once you get the gist of it. You could just, because it gives you the whole frame, you could just go in and modify some things. So that might be the easiest way to do the project. And you can work together on it with people if you want. So, so I can take it up through. So we have this week, and then there's through Friday of next week, which probably on Monday or Tuesday after that the final grades are due. I will take things up until the point where they shut off grades, but I can't promise. I would say make in your own mind, make the deadline at the very latest, like the Sunday after finals. I'm not 100% positive when. Finals are next week, I think Monday or Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So we have 2 more classes left. And I really, as I said, I really hated to miss that week. I mean, it was kind of nice in Arizona, except it was 105. But still, to miss a whole week. All right, so let's look at the assignments. And, you know, for the final project, as I said, we could just do what you can, work with somebody. I will not be critical as long as it just turn something in, even if it isn't fully functional. I will try to help you get there, though. Okay, so the idea of this one is we're going to do MVC. Just real quickly, who knows what MVC stands for? Yeah, it's model view control. Does that mean anything to anybody? A little bit. I see a couple of nods. So model is basically the data, right? When we do the entity model, you know, entity data model, the model part is the data. It's the part of the program that talks to data. It doesn't have to be just the database. It could also be like files, you know, or, you know, file input or anything that's kind of talking to something outside the program. The view, what would you think the view is? Yeah, it's the web forms if you're doing it a web, right? It's the you know, it doesn't have to be web forms. It could be Windows forms or Linux forms or whatever, but it's the user interface, the user's view of the data. And then the controller, the idea of the controller is that it gets the data from the data layer to the view layer. And it takes the input from the view and gives it over to the data. The controller is kind of the watch in between. In the ideal world, the view has no knowledge of the model, and the model has no knowledge of the view. The controller. What? It is kind of like a service. In fact, I think in the Microsoft world, although they use MVC a lot, I actually think that the services work better for this kind of structure. The idea of this is, and some of you have done like CSS and things, the idea is you want to separate out functionality. So like in a web page, you want the HTML to be about the document structure, the CSS to be about the display, and you want to separate those two out. They didn't used to, and it used to be pretty messy. One of the basic principles of programming in general is separation of function. So the idea that you separate out the data functions from the view functions, and the business functions, that's a basic idea. You just want to keep those things separate. And if you do it right, what it means is you can update your data structure without having to change your views, or you can update how your views look without having to change your data structure. Sometimes the controller has to change a bit to make the transition. So that's what MVC is, basically. And it's not a Microsoft thing. It's a general, what they call a programming pattern. There are lots of these programming patterns. We're not going to go into them, but there are lots of them, just in case you ever want to look it up. It's like a sentinel pattern. That's where you have a class that's constantly pinging another class. And then things happen if there's a change, right? So it just keeps pinging, probably on a timer. And then when something changes, then a bunch of things happen. There are factory classes. That's classes that create other classes on demand. There's all sorts of patterns. And what patterns are is basically ways that people have found to do complicated things that work almost always. So they're ways of structuring your programs. And they're also considered a fairly advanced topic, but MVC is fairly common. So, and Microsoft, in their wonder, they have a wizard for it. So we are going to, basically we're going to do the MVC. We're going to use the model just like we've always used, the entity model. So the data will get the same way we always have. We're going to create a controller for grant type, and we're going to do this one just using the wizard. We'll just show how that looks and works. We're going to then write a little person light class, and we're going to make a web page that displays that information. We're not going to try to do all of the crud. We're not going to do that. When you do this, I'll show you when we do the grant type. It'll create a page that shows the data. It'll create a page that allows you to see it in detail form. It'll create a page that allows you to edit it, and it'll create a page that allows you to enter new ones. We're not going to try to do all of that. The wizard does do all of that if you want. The third one goes through and does all that from scratch. So this is actually all, once we do the wizards and stuff, it's pretty easy, but it can take a long time to get your head around it. Does that make sense? It's not a ton of coding, but it's kind of an alien environment initially. All right, so I need to bring up Visual Studio, which I haven't done yet. And once I get the one thing we're going to do that's different this time is, instead of starting with a new website, we're going to do a project. And the other thing that you may find is that when you try to put this up on GitHub, there's like 160 files. GitHub kind of bulks. So I'm going to do a new project. Is it not working, or are you just watching? Oh, do you need a minute to get? Okay. Now, the other thing for this as an assignment, I think it'd be good for you to follow along as best you can, but I am going to post it, and you can essentially turn my code into me, but it would be better if you turn your own in for yourselves. But if something goes wrong and you can't get it to work. All right, so we have lots of different kinds of, we don't want business intelligence. I must have been playing with something else. So let's go to Visual C and a web. And we basically want an ASP.NET. Do we want a web application? It always is scary to me at this, because there's another page that comes after this. I'm going to name mine MVC Assignment 7. Also, if you go to somewhere like Barnes and Noble, you'll find several books just on the MVC model because it is used a lot.
Web application.
What?
Web application.
It is a web application, so it's a new project.
Because I have 3 here.
You have 3. What do you have?
Web application for web, 2 for webs.
Just try web application. I think mine came up a little bit weird. I may have I don't know why it came up in business intelligence first. I must have looked at that at some point. Yours did too? So I'm going to do okay, and hopefully I'll have another yes. So, and this could look different. Some of you are using 2017. Some of you are using, a little bit different one. So this could look a little bit different. So kind of just follow the logic, not the, if something looks a little bit different. We want MVC. All right. And we do not want to host it in Azure. That may not come up if you are in 2017. It comes up. It's still an option, but it's not an automatic option depending on how you choose things.
Are you recording this?
Yes.
Okay.
So MVC. Couple of things you could do here. You could add unit tests. I'm not going to do this, but unit tests let you test your methods to make sure they work the way they're supposed to. It's a really good idea if you're actually intending to deploy this to the world at some point. So I think that's all I need. You guys with me at that point? So just make sure you're not hosting it on Azure, and then just choose MVC. What? Do you guys have it? What did you do? Put it on Azure? You went to a blue screen of death?
I'm just kidding.
So interesting, yeah.
Oh no, I just got up.
Oh. So let it try to restart. If all else fails.
Okay, perfect.
I haven't seen that screen for a while. It used to be a little bit more common.
You've never seen this screen?
I know. No, I never. Ever.
You've never seen that?
There's a blue screen at that. Oh my
Really?
goodness. Unfortunate.
Yeah.
Something new.
Okay, Jimmy, it's over here.
Yeah.
It looks the same. It's fine. You just run it and check.
So it's really, why do have something new too? Why is from the MVC I can do this?
That's fine. You're just ahead of me.
Oh.
So, hopefully no more blue screens of death. Particularly with Vista, I used to get those a lot. Sometimes it recovers and sometimes it doesn't, just as a warning. All right, so it's taking forever to create this, but when you look at it, you'll see that there's a reason. There's a lot there. I don't know why they need so many files. So I'm going to close this down for a moment. And I'm going to show you real quickly what's there.
One has it's got 2 choices.
Right, so did you figure it out? So yeah, that's not what I see. Now, if you have the newer, if you have Visual Studio 2017, this window looks a little different. And that's fine. They just remodeled their web page. This is like a default index. What? Yeah, it looks a lot better. Yes. I don't know if it's better, but it looks different. Right? They give you different icons, etc. It doesn't matter. It's just a default index. You can modify it, change it however you want. So you should have a set of folders kind of like this, and I'm going to pin this. There's a lot here. There's app data. There's a whole bunch of references. You have, there's some start stuff in here. Content. Content is where your style sheets are. So if I open that, notice it's got your Bootstrap CSS. They download Bootstrap for you.
What exactly is
Bootstrap is a JavaScript CSS. It allows you to create really easily, built-in functions to make mobile-friendly sites. If you don't like Bootstrap, you can ignore it, I guess, but that's what they're using as their style. We have controllers, and it gives you some controllers that I would suggest almost home you might keep. I don't know, maybe manage, but the account controller is a bit weird. It allows you to do login. One reason I said in the project, if you use MVC, don't bother with the login, is that it has a built-in login, which is really hard to get rid of. And it's not the login you want, because what it does is it creates a local SQL Server file in the project itself, rather than going to the actual database, and it's hard to redirect things. It's possible, but there's a list of fonts. Models is where we're going to go to put our database. There's nothing, again, it has some stuff in there, but a lot of the stuff, one of my main complaints is there's a lot of stuff here you basically just want to undo that you really don't want. Under scripts, you have the basic jQuery scripts. So that gives you those as part of the assignment. That's actually partially because Bootstrap won't work without jQuery.
it okay if the models
Is what? Yes, if you're doing the new one, if some of these, one of the things they did in the 2016 version is they got rid of some of the extra stuff. And I think you have a choice. You might not have like the account controller either. Yeah, because I think they got rid of some of that stuff, and that's good because they're annoying. They gave you basically this is a functional, minimally functional thing at this point. But yeah, they did get rid of a lot of these stuff, so don't worry too much if it's gone. The ones that we're going to focus on, all right, are the model, the controllers, and the views. And you do have a couple of views. You have, again, the account you may not have, but you probably have home, manage, and shared. And under the shared views are the places where you can make the changes to how this page looks. Right? This is, how many have done like PHP and includes, and this is going to be very similar to that in some ways, because when we look at the views, they don't have HTML, they don't have body, end body. They're basically inserted into another div in the shared, right? So they're basically includes into another page. Does that make sense? All right. So this is the tour. As I said, we could spend a long time on this. In the thing, it does talk a little bit about it, about each folder and a little bit what's in it. Although, as I said, it has changed in the 2016. Is it 2016 or 2017 for 2016? 17, yeah. I have it at home.
Folders look different.
Yeah, they will look, well,
Here you got your
So,
yeah.
just one quick one. How can I bring the solution out?
If it's not there, go to view. Not that view. View. Solution Explorer. I think it's at the top. There you go. All right, so let's make the model. Are we ready? Did you get beyond the blue screen? It's going. Do you want me to wait a moment?
Oh, no. It's okay.
Okay. Anyone else stuck? All right, so this part you know, or I hope you know. So in the model, I'm just going to right click. I'm going to add, and I'm going to add, actually it's not in my list, so I'm going to go to new item. And what we want, so I still need to find it, is the ADL entities. Oh, come on, where is it? So let's look over, oh, data. Under here, there's a code data general. Data is what I want, and then it has the ADO entity model. We're going to anyway just add the entity model again. You notice that it had WCF in that. You could, if you really want to, you could make your data source not be the database itself. It could be the services. So you can have that extra layer of security if you want. I think I'm just going to let it be model 1. Doesn't really matter. I'm going to add it. And then this will be exactly like what we have done before. Now, again, if you have 2017, the screen may look slightly different. Or maybe the same, I don't remember. I have 2017, 2015, and 2014 at home, or whatever the last 3 versions were. I may get rid of them all now, except for the newest one, because it finally added Python back in. Okay, community assist entities. If you don't have this, you might have to do new connection, or it might be in the drop-down list. I mean, we've done these a few times, so you probably have a community assist. I just have community assist and master, though. How many don't have it? All right, so let's do it, a new connection. So we'll do localhost. If you're on your own machine, it could be SQL Express. / SQL Express. I'm pretty sure it's localhost here. Well, I'll know by, if it loads the database names. Is it SQL Express here? It is localhost. Why am I not seeing anything? I know why. Yeah.
Mine's different. So new connection different.
Well, let me just real quickly. I got to turn on my SQL Server. That's fine. Choose SQL Server.
I can't type it.
Just do new connection. All right, I'll come back to that. I have to start my server. So I'm going to go to computer management. So I'm having a problem some of you have. If you have Windows, sometime you should explore this, but be careful. This is the dialog box where you could destroy Windows. There are a lot, it shows you all the services that are running, so you can stop and start services, but some of those, a lot of them are essential to Windows, so you have to be careful with that. You can also partition your disk here. I mean, you can do all sorts of neat stuff. It's just that if you do things wrong, you could be in a world of hurt. All right, so now I should be able to do the entity model again. So I will do new item. I'll go to data, entity model. I'll leave it as model 1. I'll do add. I'll do next. We'll do a new connection. This time it should work. And there's community assist. And then I'll do OK.
Still doesn't work.
Choose SQL Server. Go ahead, do new connection.
No, it's doesn't change.
Well, you aren't done yet, so let's do new connection.
Just now change it.
SQL Server. Continue. And then localhost. You probably had to set it up. Yeah, do that in a second. So let me get in now. Is that right? Let me go. So you want to go right here. Computer map. All right, so the computer management do services and applications. And then do services. So let's look at all the services we got. Okay, and once it's started, so go to I think, are you in your virtual machine? Because that's, we don't have that version.
Oh.
Is that your virtual machine? Launch your virtual machine. I think they're not in your virtual machine. So, yeah. And then go to data. And then maybe it'll. Anyone else?
It's still not changing here. It's not. And before I do anything, it shows by itself.
Yeah, no, we have to write, yeah, don't hit the dump. Did it work then? Yeah, it'll time out in a minute, and then I can have it.
If my model name stays the community assist model.
That's fine, yeah. The model name doesn't matter a whole lot, because you never actually refer to it in code. Are you guys okay? You're getting there slowly?
Yeah.
All right.
What did you pick?
The first one. Host. No space. No, leave that. Yeah, right here, localhost.
So it will be.
Your mouse isn't working.
It will be kernel style.
Okay, maybe just localhost, just spell host. Okay, we should choose the database. So remember, when it dies, you want to go to the SQL Server configuration place and just start the server. a lot of them down to. Four. Cancel. All right. Okay, once you've got here, you can, I mean, you've seen this wizard before. I'm just going to do next. For what it's worth, if you're doing it on your own and you're not helping everyone and you're, you know, this can take like 5 minutes. It's not a long process, but it can take a while, I guess, to, there we go. So I want, once I get the model, the data, I'm just going to, for quickness, I'm just going to choose all the tables. I'm not going to worry about the stored procedures because I'm not going to have you guys insert anything I do. Just needs to get the model up there. Come on, you can do it. Everything was going pretty fast until this.
You said we don't need the stored procedures?
You don't. You can take it if you want. I'm just going to take the tables, yeah. If I can get to them. I guess the good news is it gives a little time to catch up in a couple places, but at some time. Come on, do this. An error occurred. All right, so new connection. That looks okay. Community assist. Next. There they are. So I have all the tables. We don't need all the tables, but I took all the tables just to be fast. What? I didn't take the stored procedures. You might take, well, actually you don't need them for much of anything. So even if you, in the project, if you do it MVC, I wouldn't advise you to do those two elements. So I'm going to do finish. And that took longer than it should have, but we should have a model now that connects to the database.
I will say yes, and will create a team model.
Yes, and then do OK, and then it will generate a this warning that we've gotten before, and that is good. And it'll do the same thing it's always done. We'll end up with a diagram. Okay. So there's the diagram. Again, it's more than we need. I just did it for speed. We're only going to use a couple of those. So we have the model. One of the things I'm going to do real quickly is I'm going to build the solution. This is in the Visual Studio build, partially because I remember that I got an error when I tried to create a controller, because it says you can't build a controller because you've never built the solution. Yeah. Okay. Did you select anything? Local first. Don't go.
No, it's built.
We need to select all the tables. Now build. So there actually should be a couple of error messages. But anyway, go. So build the project, because otherwise when we do the controller, you guys know what building does? It creates an executable out of it all. Okay, are we ready? We can
Build solution.
Yeah. And you see the model, it has a table for each of our things. I can close that down if I want, but we'll be dealing with it in a bit. All right. You guys with me, sort of?
Have you done build solution?
What?
Build solution? Have you done build solution?
Build solution, yes. So when you build, this is actually not a bad thing to do at different times, to build a solution or rebuild a solution. What it does is it makes an executable. It also will let you know if you have any compilers, which I don't. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is add a controller. And this one we're just going to let the wizard do. Okay. So are you guys ready for that? Okay, so I'm going to right click on the controller. I am going to add, and what I'm going to add is surprisingly a controller.
Where you right clicking on controller?
Just on the controller folder. So I just right click on controller. It's the folder where I want this to go into. And I'm going to add, and I'm going to add a controller. And we're going to do it MVC 5 controller with views using the entity framework. I don't know if that's any different on the newer versions. We want the one that has views. So basically this will create the whole wizard for us.
Add the controller.
Yes, we want to right click on controller, add controller, choose this, do add. All right, so it wants to know the model class. Which class in our model are we going to base this on? And I said to base it on grant type. And they're in alphabetical order, so if you go down, you'll see grant type. And it has MVC Assignment 7 models, grant type. The context is the community assist entities. So it's going to generate view, it'll reference the script libraries, it'll use a layout page. Grant types controller, you actually do not want to change that name. Because then it won't refer to where it's supposed to. So I'm going to add, go ahead.
Type came with an MVC assignment. When you click on it.
Yeah, it's part of the tables. But don't worry, you didn't get it. Yeah, right. But it's why is there? No, okay. I wonder if it shows a different. Go ahead. Go with it. Right? Oh, you need to build it first. Did you build it? Yeah. If you didn't build it, it's going to give an error.
So it doesn't have dot models. That is a problem.
No, I don't think so. I think that the newer versions may not have that.
So I don't have that, and the grant type is only web application, it's not the MVC. It's only one grant type, is MVC.
That's fine, that's fine. Notice where this says MVC Assignment 7? That's the name of my project. .models is the folder. It could be different if you didn't name yours the same. It also might be absent entirely, I don't know. Let's see if it works. If it fails, you can always delete things and start over. You don't have to start from scratch, just from the controller. Okay, so here is the controller that it wrote for us. One of the things, if you ever want to learn this really well, what I suggest doing is running the wizards, looking at the code that it generates, trying to figure out what it's doing. And then once you figure out what it's doing, it's not too hard to do it on your own. So the index, it's just going to return, notice DB is its community assist entities. It's just returning the grant types to list. It's just returning the whole table to list. That's not necessarily what you want. Like in the blog entry I did when we returned the reviewer, it also returned their hashed password. You don't want to see that. So there are things that this isn't necessarily the best of all worlds, but that's what it does. Then you have a details view. And it just does it really returns most of the same thing. It just does it a little bit in a different layout. So, and it checks to see if the HTTP status is good. Create just returns an empty view with all the fields. There's a lot that's happening elsewhere, I guess. The create just save changes, takes the grant type and saves the changes. When you look at the grant type here for create, it lists all the fields, right? This is one way to populate a class, actually create the class, find, include, and you get all of that. And then the grant type, which is the class name. And then it lower cases it to make it the variable name. You can do that too. I mean, we will do that. Does that make sense? Okay. So it basically, what it does is it just lists all the fields for the thing and does a grant type. These, you'll have to pass in all of those things. Anyway, so this is the controller. There's a delete and an edit and etc. Let's look at the views, which you might find more interesting, and then we'll go make a new one. So we've got down under views, notice that there is now one for grant types. So let's look at the index. So this is what the code looks like for this. This app model makes a reference to the model. Red line should go away in a bit. This is my assignment, right? It's basically a path. MVC Assignment 7 models grant type. So it's making a path to where the model was. Its title is index. View bag is what they call these things. I'm not sure. It's basically something that's storing all the content. Down here, this is just an H2 for index. There's anything that starts with an at here is basically code. This is a shortcut code called Razor. So it makes it so you don't have to type as much. Okay, so it's an HTML display name for the model grant type. So this first thing is just setting out the table headings. And then down here, there's a for each where it actually gets the data. And instead of, this up there, it had display name for, this is display for. And again, the thing is, once you see this, it's not hard to write this. It can be tedious. At the bottom, it has links to edit, details, and delete. So let's start. I'm going to run this from this page. I'll show you in a little bit how you can modify the main index to put it into the menu. But I'll just run it from here. I just want to show you what you get for free, and then we'll do the part where we create the our own controller and do one thing in it. Slowly. Notice the URL. It's grant types index. If you guys have done layouts before where you have all your different folders, each one has an index as the primary page. Come on, it can't take that long. There we go. Again, it's not necessarily the prettiest or the most useful. I did this page because it doesn't have a lot of data, but it gives us the food, the price, the grant maximum, the lifetime maximum, description, and it has links to the edit, details, and delete. So I'll real quickly do details, and details just focuses on it passes it the ID for this. So it just finds that one. That's the details view. There's back to list. If I do edit, it allows me to edit something and save it. And if I do create new, it gives me an empty form. It gives you the entire CRUD, which is create, read, update, and delete for every item. Now, that's not necessarily what you want on a web page, though, just to let you know. I mean, that's neat, but when you're building a site for like this, you wouldn't necessarily want all those forms, right? So you'd have to really go through and modify how you work with this to make it actually behave the way you want it to with a real client. But that's what it does for free. So we did that. That's part of the assignment. Questions on that? And again, it built all that for us. We didn't write a line of code. So now we are going to write a line of code, but are there any questions before? I'm going to stop it. Ignore this. Okay. So before, what we're going to do, I'm going to make new class in model for person light. Remember we had the thing where we had all of the person information that's across 3 different tables. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a person light class that kind of bundles all of that, and we're going to make an index page for that as a view. That's as far as we're going with the MVC code. But so the first thing I need to do is add a new model. So in the model, I don't want to get rid of the whole model or anything. I just want to add a class. I'm going to make my own class. And I'm going to call it person light. I'm not sure that's the best name. Did you have a question? So solution explorer. So just pin that, put that little pin right here. And then what we're doing now is right click on models, right on the folder models. Right click there, add class.
That was the model.
Yes, so on models I did, I'll go through it one more time. But on models, what I did is on models, I right click. So part of the trick is you pretty much want to do these on the folders because it accesses these folders, for the different parts of this. So any model, anything that relates to the data related to class should go into models. The controller information should go under controllers. The view information should go under views, right? So I'm going to just, again, add the class. Those of you that are going to or have done Android, it's very similar. You got lots of folders. Everything has to go in the right folder.
Steve, my class is not.
Is what? I think it's trying to, oh, you're running. You need to stop. So click on that red button to stop. You got it. And then you can just close that. And then right click, add class. So we're ready. We're going to add it. Gives us a little person-like class. And this is just going to be, do you guys remember all the fields? I'm not sure I do. We've got so public string, just do last name. Get set. So it's just going to be all the things that are public string first name, get set. It's not crucial that everything be here because we're just displaying it. It would be more important if we were doing other things. And the fields don't have to have the same names as the database table, though they should be close enough you can tell what's going on. Let's do street. I suppose we want to see the apartment if they got one. With curly braces. All right. Yeah.
So when I add the files, it's .bb.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah.
That means I think you built the whole thing in Visual Basic. What else do we need? And I think the only phone I'm going to do is the home phone. And I think that's it. I'll give you a second on that. It's not crucial that you have exactly the same, as I said, because we're just going to display. Yeah.
At the beginning, it says they're all.
Right, so hit C#. And then drop down, and then you can do a little bit. Yeah. And everything should be the same except it'll be in C#. Are we ready? Everybody kind of got that? And that, the code will all be up there. For, you might catch up in a minute. Yeah. So, so what I'm going to do is, I don't know if I need to, but I'm going to save this. Might actually need to build again. Let's build. So the next thing we're going to do is add a controller.
What are we building here?
When building, I just build project. Top of the build solution. The thing about the build, it just means that everything's compiled, which sometimes it needs to be compiled in order to see it. Are we ready for the controller? So I'm going to right click on the controller, controllers. I'm going to add a controller. So add controller. This time I'm actually going to make it an empty controller though. Yeah. Yeah. The only thing it will affect is if you try to edit the brand types. It won't let you. Yeah.
When you went to build, did you do build solution?
Yes.
Okay.
Build solution, as I said, just compiles it all.
Okay.
So how can I go back for the build? I think I missed the build.
Well, first, before you do that.
So I close this one. I didn't.
Oh, or, yeah, you can close it. I don't know if it matters. Just do build, and then build solution. Just the top. All right, so I'm going to do an empty controller. And let's don't call it default. We'll call it people light, or what did I call the class? Person light? So let's call it person light. So notice that this just returns a view. And what I want to do is look at the grant type, control, the index one. I added an empty controller.
The controller name is
Oh,
person.
and I found it.
What?
Controller name is person.
Yeah. So this is going back to this. Notice it just says return DB grant likes to list. This is for the index. We can't quite do that because our table isn't directly tied to the database as such. So what we have to do in our version of this is we have to do the query that populates everything and then return that. Does that make sense? The other thing that we need to do is, so we need to do, I think actually that may be all we need to do. Let's go back and look. So the person-led controller, we need to make our database connection. So I'm going to do that here. And so it should be just like before, community assist. So what do we want? We need to make our connection to the model using MVC Assignment 7. Now, if you named it differently, it's the name of your assignment. And I'm going to do models. And then I think I can get community assist entities. Yes. So remember that line from, we've done it a few times, right? We're just creating a link to the model. But to do that, I had to do using, and whatever your assignment name is, .models. That gets us to the folder where the class is. So in here, trying to remember how I do this. I might have to go back to, we're going to try it anyway. I'm going to do var how about var peeps equals from p in db dot people. All right, so I'm just querying the people thing. I might need some other things. I might need to adjust this as I go, but I'm going to try to select new. And then I'm going to do p dot last name comma p dot first name comma p dot email, person email, comma, I'm going to try now p dot person addresses dot, can't see it. All right, so that's one of the things. So I'm going to add another from up here, from a in p dot person addresses. So it's important, A I'm making up right there, right? That's a variable name I'm just making up right there, just like I made up P here. But it's not in DB person addresses, it's in P. So it's the address that goes with this person, right? So this one is from A in P dot person address. It's important that it's tied to this P and not to just DB in general. So basically what it'll do is it'll resolve the relationship. It's like doing an inner join. it will resolve the relationship between that person and their address. So down here, instead of p.person addresses, I will do a dot person address apartment. A dot, oops, not aggregate. That's because I put a period there instead of a comma. A dot person address street. A dot person address city. And I'm just going down again. A dot person address state. What?
Again.
It died again?
Yeah.
Whole blue screen?
Yep.
I'm so sorry. Now I think I have to do from up here, from I'm going to do C and P dot contact. This is for the phone number. A dot person address. Actually, so this would be C. Yes, you're right. C dot contact number. And I think we want to up here say where. I actually can't do it right there. Want to do it before the select, but where C dot contact number actually contact C dot contact type key equals 1. Double equals 1. That's a home number. Couple of things that will do actually though is it'll exclude anyone that doesn't have a home number. But I don't care right now. But if you were doing it for real, that could be a problem. All right. That should work for that query. I'm going to delete a couple of spaces here. We then need to do a thing where we loop through the results and assign them to a class. And I think to a list. So I'm going to do list person light. I'll just call it person list equals new list person light. We've done this before. Actually, that goes outside. We did this before in the service. I'm going to do for each so for each one in our list, we're just going to go through, and this is a bit of a pain, but we're going to assign you know, last name, first name, email, etc. Does that make sense? We're just looping through the list and creating a new person. So I'm going to do person light PL equals new person light. PL dot last name equals PERS dot last name, person last name, and etc. PL dot first name equals PERS dot person first name, PL dot email equals PERS dot person email, PL dot, why do I always hit that instead of the dot? Apartment equals PERS dot person apartment, address apartment, PL dot street. This is just tedious, but we're almost done with everything, so we'll do the view here. Street I did, right, city. No, I didn't do street. I can try. What? So we got city, state. I'm almost there. One last PL dot. I just need to contact the home phone. Yeah, contact number. Okay, and then I'm going to take the list, which is person list dot add PL. So every person will be added to the list, and then I'm just going to return person list. I'll give you a second on that. So basically, I just went through, I created a new instance of person light, looped through our results set from the query above, and just assigned all the fields. This will take each one at a time, one person at a time, and assign them to this new person light. Then we add that person to the list. Keeps doing that until we've got all the people, which I think is like 130 of them. And then it comes back and it passes that list to the view. So the next thing we'll do, but I'll give it a second for you, is we'll create the view. And then it's just a couple minor tweaks and we're done. This can be fun. I know that probably none of it feels like that. It's not fun when you blue screen all the time. I hope it saves some of what you did.
Me too. Is It shows that it saved the project, so
Okay.
it's not being for commands.
So the stage
Yeah.
one, my PL is not, when I bring PL, it's not showed the automatically. So when I bring to the.
So you have to do this first line.
um,
Person like PL, that's where PL comes from.
Person,
So inside the loop,
I did, person. like,
person, make it capital P.
Person like PL, if it's new.
Let's look at this, so in your model.
Person, oh, here, I forgot.
Yeah, let me also check what you've got. Oops,
And the C, I didn't finish the C.
but I was wondering, this is what you want, so person like, so put a lowercase l.
And here, and here, I saw in.
Right, why is it not? And lowercase l, still not showing.
So the C, I didn't finish. C, C.
And C in P dot compact, or yeah, P dot compact.
And that,
So yeah, P dot
P,
compact. And make it with a capital C. I want to check your person like first. Once you got that with an S. Should automatically show person address. Let's just go back to the dot. And then do the same with that one, go back to the dot. But I still need to check your person mark class.
okay, so is that too late to change the name of it, since I did find that part of my name become original. So if I only change the name, it's possible to
Yeah, it's
assign it.
city, right? No, it's street. Okay, so let's look at person mark. What's the controller? Let's look in here. Did you write that class? Yeah, that's why I did, because I had to make my class. I'll show you in a minute. All right, so let's.
Please go up a little.
Okay.
I lost part of the SQL.
Oh, you mean up this way?
Yeah.
So the person light class. I'll help you in a moment, but this is what it looks like. And then I'll go back to the other. You wanted the controller. So it just had all those fields in it. And then you got it? And as I said, all this will be posted. Yeah.
It's on record, variable for each one.
You don't have the, which part do you need?
It's very time to do the using systems.
Yeah, so there's two things up here that you don't have. Using, and then we need this community assistant entities DB equals new. Right, and to get the community assist to show up, you need this. And it may be different. It's whatever the name of your assignment is, dot controllers. It's not. So if you said web application 1, that's what it is, a web application 1 dot.
A couple things that were already there. That one's yelling at me.
Let me see, mine is okay, so why is yours not?
Yeah. Mine looks exactly like yours.
Now, it doesn't like. Yeah, I think part of it is right here. Just get rid of the models and the backspace all the way.
Get rid of this.
Get rid of that in the doc. And the crew brace. Now, person list. For each, get rid of, you have an extra curly brace.
Can you rename the file?
Yeah. Although renaming the file, actually this is an interesting point. Renaming the file over here doesn't change anything inside of it. It doesn't change the class name. So if you want to rename a class name or something, you can change it inside. You have to do, I mean, you have to do both. I would just go with what name you got, though. Just be. All right, so the next part is to add a view. Are we ready? Okay.
We've done the controller and the model.
We've got the model, right, because we added the person class. We've got a thing in here for the index part of this. So we're going to create a view, and I don't know if it did. Let's see. It may have given us an empty view, but I don't think so. So we got account, got grant types. We do have a person light. Right, so it did give us thing. I think it's an empty folder though, under the views. So we want to add a view to person light. That folder should be there. When we made the controller, it automatically added the folder. So again, under views, there should be a person light folder, and there's no little triangle beside it because there's nothing in there. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to add a view, right? So I just did add view. And it should give me, we want the view name to be index. And pretty much everything else we can leave empty. So I'm just going to add the view. Now there's some things that we need to do. At the top, if we go like back up to the, if we look at the view for grant types, we'll just look at the index one. Again, what I need here is basically just a model, a template to see what it did for us. So we need this line, right? Except that this will be person light. So the easiest way to do this, I'm going to copy this from grant types. I'm going to go back to my index, my new one. I'm going to paste this across here, except that instead of grant type, I'm going to change this to person light.
Okay, can you form that again?
Yeah, so I just went to the grants, right? There's a grant type view
Yeah, with index,
and index, and I took the very top line.
just the very top line.
Yes.
Great.
And then I copied it and I pasted it over here. And I just changed this to person-wide. You can type it in. Welcome to. So that makes a reference to the model. And again, that's one of the parts about this that I don't like. The view should not have to make a reference to the model. One of the reasons why I know why they do it, it's really hard. Web pages are isolated in memory by default, but for security reasons. That's why they don't have any state, why they don't remember things, why they can't write to RAM and they can't write to disk generally without a lot of extra effort. And it's done for security reasons because they're coming from all over the world. You have no guarantee, and they're dangerous enough as is. And so it's hard to pass things to a web page if it doesn't have that reference. Okay, so underneath this, it says index, right? So we could basically set up our table. The only thing is I'm going to, again, if we go back to the other index, we want our table to probably have the class table. And that class is coming from Bootstrap CSS. So I'm going to make ours, I'm not going to worry about the link to create new because we're not doing that. So when I go back here, I will make my table have class table. And that'll make it look like the other one. And we're going to, just like, again, the other index, we just want to do our table rows and our heads. And then we want to put basically a line like this in, but it'll be the different for the model. So I'll do that. I just want to
Okay, so
go ahead.
you're copying.
I'm actually not copying at this point. I will. So I'm going to do table row. And I'm going to do the heads, right? We're going to do all the heads. And then inside of each head, I'm going to do, actually, I think it's just, actually, let me look back. I have like a 30-second memory. Yeah, just add, I'll copy one of these. Just so I have sort of the model. All right, except that we're not doing model grant name, right? We're doing model, let's just go back to the period. We should be able to see, and I did see, and then it went away. Why is it doing that? I saw the fields. There's a trick here to getting the fields back. I'm trying to remember what it is. There we go. I made a space between it and the parentheses. I don't know. So I'm just going to do like last name. Okay. And then if you want, you can basically copy this because this is really tedious to type. And instead of last name this time, I'm going to do first name. And you could just type first name, but you can also get it from the list. I will paste again, and we will do email. And again, you can, for some reason, I can't get the list to show unless I make a space here. But you could just type them too. Now, what we're putting here are just the headings on the table, right? I didn't need to copy that, but anyway. So we'll do apartment. And we'll do, let's see, then it's street. And then it's city. And then it is state, which you can, as I said, you can just type it too if you want. And then it is zip code. And then it is, so zip code is lowercase c. The last one, so we got zip code, and then it's just home phone, right? Did I leave anything out? And I'm going to kill all of this space just to get my TR back up there. So the display name is just, it's just going to take the title. It's going to take the name of the field. Then we're going to do a loop, and we're going to make detail tables. This is, again, if you're doing PHP and writing to a table, this is almost exactly the same process. It's interesting. Microsoft has been moving more and more towards a model like this, which is sort of code-based even in the web page, as opposed to the what we were beginning at the beginning. We were dragging and dropping our tools, which is kind of more easier. You guys ready? So, and again, the pattern for this, if you go to the other index, we've done our headers, then we're going to do a for each. And we could easily copy that, or you could type it, but it's for each item in the model. And then there will be a curly brace at the end of that. And I'm going to go back to my index. And then what you want is basically you want a table row. I'm tempted to copy the whole block from above, but will that confuse you? Because I have to make several changes in it. Would you rather I didn't copy the whole block, or would you rather I do that? All right. So the thing about this is we don't want table, oops, I got an extra, fell outside the row. So we don't want TRs here, we want TDs. I'm curious, can I do, I'm going to try a replace. Quick replace. TH TD. Okay. It's not doing it though. All right, never mind. So I have to change all these to TDs. Actually, it is, notice that it does do that automatically. It changes the end one, so I don't have to change the end one. I never tried copying this as a block. It just seems like it makes more sense. Now, we do not want the display name for. What we want is the display for. So there's display and there's display for. Is it display for model? Let me look on the other page. It's just display for. So let's just change all of these to display for. So actually all we have to do is get rid of the name. Why are these unhappy now? Oh, item. We have to change this from model to item. As I said, there's a lot of changes to make between the two blocks. All right, I'll give you a second on that. And then that's it. If we're good, it'll work. The last thing we'll do is we'll add it to the, we'll modify the home page a little bit, and then we'll call this line. So the logic again is we just created a table, and up in the headers we just put the fields, and they're coming from the model, right? Here too, they're coming from the model, so we're going to get the data, and that's why we have a loop here. Oh, you know what I'm missing? Why this will fail? Anybody know what I'm missing? The end of the curly brace. Oops. Are you guys ready to try? No?
Yes.
I can come back, and as I said, I will post. I won't swear I didn't screw something up, but let's see what we get. Really slow. Maybe if I built it first, it would be. There it goes. It worked. And again, there's things you'd want to do, like you probably don't ever want 130, 140 things on a page. So you might want to page it in some way. You know, there's lots of other things you might want to do. A couple of things. They have some built-in things. I don't know, again, the new one, what they're all here, but there's like a home will take us back here. About gives you an empty about page where you can fill this in. And contact gives you an empty contact page. And you can fill those in, and I'll show you where. So let's do going to close that. I'm going to stop. So the very last things I want to do is just a couple of modifications of the forms, the main forms. So let's go down to views again. Somehow I closed my views. And we want to go to the home views. And notice it has, although I'm not sure this is what we want to do, we got about, contact, and index. So this is where you can change some of the information about the about table and the contact. I'm not going to do that right now, but I will look at the index. That's not where the list is anyway. But you can do things here, like where it says getting started. Instead of getting started, you could do like community assist. Whatever you want to write here. You could get rid of, I think you could actually kill all the rest of this if you wanted. So our thing, and I don't think we need the button to Microsoft. Okay, except I do need to close my divs.
We have a chance to.
What?
We have a chance to. I'm doing something pretty straight.
All right, just a sec. Oh, that's your history default. So what we're going to do is do slash personalize. That's what we're going to do. And then
So it's what.
yeah. Oh, so what I have to do is not like that. Do they give an error? Mouse over it? Well, no, not just did you loaded all the tables?
Yeah.
Do you have your diagram? Let's look at the diagram.
I already did it. This is the new one. The other one, it is the same thing.
So let's look at it again. I want to do these last two things. Oh, I know why. Change all the addresses to 8. You can sort of keep that as 8. Okay, so I made a few changes there. I also want to go down to, I think it's layout under shared in views. So we got our view, we got our index under home, and then I'm going to go to layout. And this is where you actually have most of your HTML, right? And here is your menu for where it goes down to div class navbar collapse. This is your menu. So I'm going to add a couple of things there. This is under views, shared, layouts. So it's under views. There's a shared folder and it's layout. This is the common, so views, shared, layout. So I'm going to do like li. I'm going to do the @HTML action link. And the first part of this is the text. This is the part that'll show up. So I'm going to say grant types. I mean, you could probably even separate it out into 2 words there. The second is the controller. So grant type. And that should be in quotes. And then the third is, it says object route values, but instead of home, it's the folder. So the folder should also be grant type, and again in quotes. And then close the parentheses. So this is the text you want to show up on the menu. This is the controller name, and this is the folder name for the view. I'm going to do the same thing and one more time for our person light. So I'm just going to say people. Person light, capital. Actually, it's as you spelled it, and whatever you spelled it as, and then person light again. Let's see if those work. I sometimes screw these up. So what I've done is I've added our two views to the menu. And I'll come back to it. And if that works, then we're done, which is good because it's about noon. So I didn't change this. I'd have to go, I think in layout I could change this. Down here I did the community assist and charity, but I could change this. I'm not sure I'm going to right now, but I think it's in the layout also, that big part. Notice that there is grant types and people here. So they've added it to the menu. That if I wrote it right, it'll go there. So if I go to grant types, it did not go there, so I did it wrong. And people probably will fail too. So I am going to bet.
How do you want us to commit this?
What?
How do you want us to?
So the ideal way is still with GitHub. But you don't necessarily have to do everything. So Maybe just the controllers and the views.
No, not.
I don't, the model we did many times, and it's a lot of generated code. You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to change these to index and see if that makes a difference. Because I think that is the problem here. Or it's still running. So I'm going to try it one more time and see if changing that to index makes that work. No. So what am I doing wrong? What? Let me look at the, let's look at the blog. That's the wrong blog. Why did it go there? It just went to the blog. It didn't do.
Thank you for sharing.
Okay, so this is the part that talks about it.
I put index in the middle for person light and people when they got it to work, but it's not working. Right? So you see that misspells.
Is it because we call the grant types?
No, I think actually though, so I think that might be, so let's change this to index and then grant type. That makes sense. Notice it has index up here. This is the, I just had that reversed. This should be index. And the other one should be person light or people person light. This one should be the last one should be the folder. And the middle one, the file name. One last try. I always confuse this sequence there. Always.
Yeah.
Come on. These take so long to load. In real life, they don't take quite so long if
I had it. That's a great catch.
people worked.
The grant type is
Plural, you need to make it grant types.
It is grant types.
Yeah.
So you were right. I was thinking that that was the class name, but I guess it took the class. So grant types. While I'm here too, let's look at the layout. Up above here, it says myasp.net application. That's the big thing. Should that be in quotes? No. Okay, and then navbar application name. I was just trying to mess with things here, but it doesn't matter right now. Just to make sure that it works, and then I will upload. It's a pain to upload this. That's why I say if you want, you can do just the controller and the view, because there are literally 160, 170 files here. When you count all of the, that didn't change that. It did change the title, but I didn't change this. I'll have to look at where that is. So people worked before, it's still working. Back home, grant types, still failing. Oh, it's still saying grant type. I thought I modified that. I did modify it, but it didn't stick. All right, so Open Labs on Thursday and Tuesday. I'll be here during finals. The lab is open during finals. I'm not holding an actual final. You can work on your projects with somebody. One of the things that I would suggest for the project that is the very easiest thing to do is just this MVC and just make some modifications to it. Just do what you can do. I'm not gonna, there's a list of things in the final project, but I'm not gonna check them off. If you just turn in anything that shows you tried something, I'll be kind. I'll give you the points. On this page, there's a light. Are there any of these fields that you left out of your thing?
So this is just the assignment, is this what we turn in? Okay, I can do that.
So the object reference.
Well,
This area on the third floor is another one. There are many, many, many programs.
So if I want to save it, use this.
Inside.
This is not so good.
That's where the weapon
You need to. No, it's better when I come the.
So could you show me how to save the whole thing? You have several applications here. If I want to save all, so we can run it.
Oh.
Okay, several. This one, this two, this two pages.
Yeah.
She want to save it and
You might be better off going and find the file.
I'll copy the whole folder.
Or just the files that you want.
Yeah, this one.
application one.
I didn't change it in my previous one.
Oh,
I'll come back and see if it says no. All right, so I think. So you should have.
I will put outside.
First list.
Then you know which one.
So where you go to this file.
Has an error.
It's not because we're running.
I am getting old.
That should be.
Where you
Then
Let's,
come out.
yes, it's on. It's
And
on
then, stop it.
6.
I
On
Yeah,
the
I
files.
think now it should be faster.
Better safe than sorry.
Right, since I'm invasion.
That type of-
Yeah.
Are you coming right about? in the afternoon?
Yeah, that's, I want to be clear on. I know the first line, but I didn't know it was like first address.
So what do you want to do is the.
You know.
Same thing. No. That's the best part.
Do you have any?
It's just give me that model. It's not.
Otherwise,
If you're paid for it, that's all you should say.
Nowhere to go.
And that's-
Did you have that line?
Could you show me again from here where to go just now? From here, going to the file. I missed to see how you did it.
Oh.
File.
Okay. No, I can see it. Down there.
Oh, in the folders.
And then I can put document and 2015.
Oh, and file. Oh, go to down the file and file. Oh, yeah, I understand. Thank you. All right, I'm going to working with the video. Power off. Should I power off or power off? Then here, going to right, that's right, thank you for the lunch. Yeah, I think I read it in my notes. This is. Another class for something, for somebody.
Yeah, I did know. Something. Okay, I feel it.
Left, correct. Yeah.
Okay.
We're doing the user related.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not going.
We do that with Bill. I do that. Have you guys started?
No, I just, it's not doing anything.
Still pending.
Yeah, I just,
It's not showing it now.
Yeah.
It may actually work.
that's what I'm thinking. I'm just gonna minimize it for now.
Let's go to,
I just have the sessions on that part, the sessions.
Oh.
So Ashley, I heard that if someone has less more.
The only problem is people, so you declare the session and you have to check if it's there or not, and if it's not, you said that you're working, and I think the problem that most people didn't have an if statement to see if the session already has an audience, so it had to overwriting. So, yeah, you just have to check if that session variable already exists. So we asked for that, we asked him that question, he has that problem. And he totally did. So, he like.
In site to be downloaded.
So,
There's the same thing that I should be uploading that one.
Yeah, when I asked Bill, I asked him about our problem. He started talking about something that was completely unrelated to that specific part of the process. I'm like, thanks, that was information. And then he didn't really answer any more questions.
Just gonna downlink for my user to go there and download or print PDFs.
The nice thing about Bill though, he offers so much extra credit that like you could not turn in like 3 major projects.
I'm trying to do the extra credits because I can wait until 7:45.
Oh, yeah.
And I went to my 4.0 in class. So I'm trying to do all the extra.
I did the extra credit on everything but the last one.
Also, another look at.
What's the was it the 10?
Yeah, it's just like, one of the colleagues kind of showed up in the class. And we didn't started to talk about what we're gonna do, how we're gonna do.
What was the extra credit?
Alright, so.
Was it just give us Oh, okay. Yeah, we just had sales needs.
And I was with so many things from YouTube
Yeah. On that group project, we have a number of us that can show up like members. Because you have to keep a word log. And I already wrote like functions for the conversion, so that was already done. Their one contribution was I found like a conversion library that was like 250 lines of code for a problem that we already solved. So, it's not really helpful.
gonna get the gold rating for that one. And you kind of get an extra because of the Google Docs that they did.
Oh, yeah.
Everything gave us extra for that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He just wants us to the higher model.
Yeah.
I was thinking of Bill, just payment would give me extra credit on just like normal assignments. Like, so I was I had a problem with Greenhouse or whatever, my web provider, like I just like my website wasn't going up. So I couldn't do the last two like database assignments that were both for like 100 points. And I still got like an
But he gave us in the last course, by Sunday after so I thank you, I guess, aside. 9:59 p.m.
Yeah, he's pretty easy grader. He doesn't have any finals, so that's cool. Yeah.
Oh, but it's
had a group that temperature conversion. I was like programming alpha logic, but it was
It's just the
so
link.
I wanted to like do stuff that other people would do, so I left it kind of broken, and I gave it to one of my team members to kind of finish off, so she could do something. She didn't tell me until like the day it was due that she wasn't able to do it. Like, oh, well. And I coded it just to be sure, so I had it all ready, so yeah, so we got it.
On time, all the works. Actually, for the Q1, I'm trying to finish up that.
Oh, yeah, because they didn't have a hard date.
I'm just worried with me because I didn't start it.
Oh my gosh.
And Monday.
All right, no problem. Yeah, that's you.
I'm done.
You figured it out, good. That's what I
Anyone
did.
that wants
I
to know?
just want to know what exactly I'm putting on the
So I, at a minimum, just a control interview.
The entire folder.
Just the ones you know. Would be enough. If you want to put the entire folders of those on there, not that big, that's fine. If you want to put the whole thing on, you can, it's just like it's like a conversation.
Okay, so no model.
I don't know. Maybe the first live model.
And then, so that it was for entire person money.
Yeah. With the control.
And then was there people,
Then there was personality. Person. So the controller is going to be the personality. What is it doing? How do you know? So let's stop. This was a comment. Let's go back there. When you pass this, that's when you just use, you have to pass the person. Otherwise, you're not passing any data. So this person was mentioned. You're not alone in doing that. That's why I know the answer to that. All right, I'm going to post this. This is going to take a little bit. So let me stop it. And then I need to go. Oh, I got to do this quickly because I have only a few minutes before the next class.
Did you record the last class, client?
What?
The client last class?
Yeah, I think so.
Because I just find one. And I remember, I was in the class.
I will look. I'm pretty sure I did it. In fact,
Looking for the second one, I didn't find it.
no, I don't suppose there's any chance.
so there's only 4 files.
Yeah, that would be sufficient. I mean, basically, all I need to do is the parts that you created. There's so many other things there.
Okay. Just,
I'm going to try to upload the whole thing so that people can download it. But I don't think it will let me do this. I would really love it if it would let me do that. It won't. Yeah, so that's a lot of files. All right.
Then 100. Tuesday, Thursday.
Okay.
Steve, which file?
All I need are the controllers and views. I'm going to have to upload this later.